everyone, and welcome back to Faith and Flour. If you're new here, my name is Robin, and in today's video, I've got some cleaning and cooking inspiration for you and motivation, and I'm also going to be kind of showing you what we are doing now that we're spending more time at home. I hope that this video finds you and your family doing well and adjusting to the current circumstances. I am an optimist, and so I am looking at this slowdown as a time to live life a little bit more slowly, a little more intentionally, and to just kind of savor this time that we have to spend at home instead of our usual busy schedules. And I am just kind of going through the day as I typically would. I usually start by making my bed, and then I do a little bit of my Bible study. I do a Bible reading each morning. I take some notes, and I use the Bible recap app on my phone. So that's what I'm doing here. And this is something that I do to ground myself daily. And I find that it's really helpful during this time that can be stressful for everyone. When everything else is kind of topsy-turvy, I find that sticking to the routines that we can really does help ground us. And I have a weekly cleaning routine, and if you guys haven't seen that video yet, I will have it linked in the cards above. But I have the first day of the week, Monday, set aside just to do laundry. And so I wash our clothes this day, and I don't do a lot of other cleaning. It's a good day for me to be at home. I do work from home on my videos, so I can do some editing and anything else I need to do throughout the day while keeping on top of the laundry. And it also feels good when it comes to laundry to me to get it sort of done at least one day a week. Of course, it's sort of never ending and it'll be piling up at the end of the day once again. But because I wash everything, hang it to dry, fold it, and put it away within a day or two, I feel some sense of accomplishment when it comes to laundry, if that makes sense. Here I am sorting out the laundry, and I am doing the hamper that is in Patrick's in my room, and then Peyton does his own, which is a huge help. And he's already done his, and I basically just separate things into 4 loads. So I have one that is done on a hot temperature setting, on a medium, and then a cold, and then a separate one for delicates, and that's what I'm putting on top of the washing machine. And that'll include my dresses and blouses and things like that that I just want to wash separately. Because we did not have to go anywhere this morning, we took this morning rather leisurely. Peyton slept in. He really enjoyed not having to get up and go to his work program first thing this morning. And because I didn't have to drive him, I wasn't in a hurry either. And so I sat on the couch, I worked on my laptop for a little while, and didn't even take a shower until later in the morning. And we enjoyed that time. But now it's time for me to fix some lunch, and Peyton has requested Monte Cristo sandwiches. And so all this is basically is, well, I would say cross between sort of a grilled cheese and French toast. So you take bread and you layer a slice of cheese, a slice of ham, another slice of cheese, and then you dip the whole thing in just a scrambled egg mixture. And I'm making Peyton's with gluten-free bread. He requires gluten-free, but Patrick and I don't. So I've gotten in the habit of making sure I don't cross-contaminate anything. So I make Peyton's first, and then I can use the egg mixture for Patrick's and mine. And I'm really careful when I grill them that there's no cross-contamination. You may even notice that I use 2 different spatulas to turn them. So we're really careful when it comes to Peyton's celiac disease, and that's why I'm taking all of these different measures to make sure that he doesn't get any gluten from what we are eating. So what makes these Monte Cristo sandwiches even more special is that you dip them in jam. And this may sound really strange if you've never had one before, but I would urge you to try it. It is so good. And so today we are using some strawberry jam. That's Peyton's favorite. And so this is going to be a really fun treat for him. This is something that I used to make for the boys when they were young, and so Peyton has some really great memories about these sandwiches, and it's become comfort food for him. Right after lunch, Peyton took Austin for a walk. We've had some gray, dreary weather, but spring has arrived and the weeds are in full force. So Peyton has agreed to go outside and help do some weeding, which is a huge help for us, and it also gives him a purpose and something to do to occupy his time while he's at home. And I think giving your kids tasks like this when they are at home right now is really good. I think it helps them feel like they have a purpose. It gives them a job to do that is helpful to the family, and it gives them something else to do besides sit around and be bored. Was working on that outside. I came in to clean up the kitchen and I checked on him. He was working diligently, and then I noticed our dog Austin. He is, I think, part mountain goat. I've said this before, but we got him as a rescue, and you just do have to wonder. He loves to climb up to these high places in our backyard. Last night I had made some banana nut chocolate chip muffins, and I used these silicone cups to bake them in. And I left them to soak in the sink overnight, so those were waiting for me this morning when I got up, and I'm just now getting to them. But I'm going to wash them each by hand and set them out to dry. Once the first load of laundry is finished, I move it over to the dryer and get the next one going. I just recently did a laundry room organization video. I'll have it linked in the cards above in case you guys are interested. But I also made sure, as we understood that we were going to need to stay home, to have a lot of supplies on hand. And a lot of them I store here in the laundry room. So laundry detergent, paper towels, extra tissues, things like that we store in here. And fortunately, I didn't have to go out and buy a lot of things like this at the last minute. We have a little bit of toilet paper in the bathroom, And hopefully the situation will calm down soon and we can all replenish these things as we need them. I know that this is a source of stress for a lot of you, and I know it can be really serious. I'll show you a little bit of what we've done in the pantry. A lot of you guys have asked me questions about how we were prepared, and I did not really go overboard with the preparation. We normally have about this many dried beans in our pantry, and I keep kind of, I'd say, a modest stock. We have plenty of space, and I don't usually max it out. The things that I did go out and buy a few more of were like the canned vegetables, canned tuna, some canned fruit and things like that would have a long shelf life. And also, if someone were to get sick in the family, we could make some simple meals. We wouldn't have to do anything very complicated. It would be very convenient. I did stock up a little more than I would usually for Peyton because gluten-free things can be hard to find in the best of circumstances. So I got him some snacks and the gluten-free pizza crust that he likes. Plus I stocked up our freezer with gluten-free breads and things. They were not hard to find, and hopefully that will continue to be the case. I also normally keep a pretty good stock of dry goods in the pantry, some gluten-free baking items, plus just your typical things like rice and nuts, things like that. So I checked those things before I went to the store and tried to replenish anything that I was running low on. I did buy a few extra pasta sauces because that's a great convenience item to have on hand, and I know we are going to use it. Plus, we have some chicken stock and vegetable stock, but not a lot. So instead of buying more boxes like these, I decided to stock up a little bit on the bouillon cubes and, the concentrated base for making stocks and things like that. Having extra canned soup on hand would be great, but we can't purchase those things because they usually contain either gluten or soy or both, and so those are things that Peyton can't have. And so having these stocks will make it easy for me to throw together a homemade soup. I can add either pasta, rice, or beans to that, and all of those things I have here in the pantry. So that's how I'm preparing to make those sorts of meals. I also grabbed one extra jar of peanut butter when I was at the store. Peanut butter is a great plant-based source of protein, and we all love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, so that will make for a really quick and easy lunch while everybody's here at home too. Up at the top of the pantry, I'm storing some extra cereal, coffee, rice, and then canned fruits and vegetables that I bought. These will be great if we need them, and we will be sure to use them eventually, and I just put them up here to keep them out of the way. Plus, I just made sure that we had some extra snacks on hand in case we can't run out and replenish our supply. We'll have several things at home that we can munch on. We like chips and nuts and dried fruits and things like that. And popcorn is always great when we want to stay home and watch a movie, so I made sure we had some of that too. The refrigerator really just looks like it normally does. I didn't want to stock up more on fresh produce because there's a chance that we wouldn't be able to eat it before it went bad, and that would just be wasteful. And because we're using imperfect foods, I talked to you guys about that before, I'm hoping that we're going to have a supply of fresh produce, and that could change. We've actually gotten notice from them that they've had more orders than usual and deliveries might change. So we'll see what happens with that. And then in the freezer, I just tried to stock up on some proteins and things. We are not big meat eaters, but it might change if we don't have a lot of fresh produce, so I tried to get a few extra things, plus some fun things like hot dogs that we could have with pork and beans, and some extra chicken, things like that I can stretch out by making soup or chili or something like that. We have some frozen cheeses in here, plus some frozen bread and some treats like donuts and ice cream. So as you can see, I just stocked our freezer with things that we normally would use. And yes, I have it maybe a little more full than usual, but we don't have a huge space. We don't have a big deep freeze in our basement or our garage, and I don't have shelves and shelves full of dry goods and canned goods. But I do think that we have probably at least 3 to 4 weeks worth of food if we absolutely couldn't get anything else. And like I said before, we are using Imperfect Foods, and they deliver on a weekly basis, and as far as I can see, I think that they will continue that. Plus, I think that we're still going to have access to food at the grocery stores. We just really want to minimize how much we have to go out when we don't really need to. And I think that this whole idea of social distancing could be really effective if we all, just take it seriously and try to be mindful of the time that we spend out if it's not necessary. So this is what we are doing, and I feel pretty good about it. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments what you guys have done to prepare and how you're dealing with being at home. And to answer more of your questions, the number one thing we're doing is what all the experts are advising, and that's just washing our hands a whole lot more. As moms and homemakers, we already know that. We wash our hands before we prepare food, before we eat or touch our face in any way. And just, we're being more mindful about it. So whenever we're in contact with someone else, if we've been out in public at any time for any reason, then of course we will wash our hands when we get home. And we're just using paper towels a little bit more so that we can control, spreading the virus through a hand towel. And I don't necessarily think that's risky. We're just taking an extra measure. And we are just using the Grove gel hand soap. I just refill the glass containers that we have on our counter. And I also picked this one up recently from the Grove Collaborative. It's Mrs. Meyer's. I've always been a big fan of that one, and I have decided to buy the refill container just to be a little more economical because we already have the glass containers that we can refill. This one is called Oat Blossom, and it smells amazing if you'd like another recommendation. As far as using hand sanitizers go, I picked these up a while ago from the Grove Collaborative. I'm not sure that they're available anymore, but we only use those when we are out and about and we don't have access to soap and water. And since we're staying home a whole lot more, we are rarely using them. And as far as disinfecting cleaners, I had a few things on hand already too. I have a few of these Clorox disinfecting wipes left, and I have some of the 7th generation disinfecting spray, plus some Method antibacterial all-purpose spray, and all of them claim to kill 99% of viruses and bacteria. So as far as I know, these types of things are effective if they are listed on the label. I do know that you should not use my vodka DIY disinfecting spray because it isn't strong enough to kill the viruses. It's great for bacteria, it's great for your daily cleaning needs, but if your goal is to kill the virus, then you're better off using things like 91% isopropyl alcohol or even 3% hydrogen peroxide straight do a great job. And so I am putting those things in a spray bottle and using them to disinfect some surfaces around our home that are touched really often. Things that you know about already, like door handles, faucet handles, light switches, all those kinds of things that everybody's touching on a regular basis multiple times a day. I will spray those surfaces really thoroughly and then let them sit for 10 minutes. So let them stay wet for 10 minutes. And then you can use a paper towel, that's what I prefer, or a cloth if it's clean, and wipe it down. Now, it will only stay disinfected until someone touches it again. So that's why you have to do it multiple times a day. I am just a mom, I'm not an expert, so I research these things at the CDC website and also at Consumer Reports to find out what things are effective. And as far as trying to boost our immunity, I'm doing things, and so is my family, like taking some vitamin C. Now, this is not proven to have any big effect if you do get sick, but I just like to take the extra measure. And I have always kept a little bin under our sink in the bathroom with cold medicines. And so I just made sure that those things were stocked up. There is no treatment for the current virus that everybody is fighting, but you can do things to ease the symptoms. And so I keep things like Mucinex and the Alka-Seltzer Cold Plus medicine we like. Also, Theraflu is really good if you have flu symptoms because you drink it as a warm drink. So I just keep a stock of all these kind of things that I know my family likes to use if we ever have a cold or flu. Don't worry if you don't already have something like this in your home. If there is a circumstance where you need these kind of things, I think they are going to be available at the drugstore and the supermarket. I just like having them on hand so I don't have to run out. Plus, of course, if you need to be treated by a doctor, this wouldn't be, an alternative. You would still need to go to the doctor. And then, of course, anything that you would need would be prescribed. So I hope that answers the questions that you guys have been sending me. I think it's a great way to stay connected with each other. Several of you are from different countries and you're curious about what is happening here in America, and we are curious about what is happening where you are. So feel free to leave your comments and we can discuss what's going on. I mean, this is a global event that affects all of us, and one of the good things that can come out of it is that it brings us closer together. And right now I'm just fixing some dinner and I'm making a little marinade. There's no particular recipe for it. I'm kind of throwing things together. So I had some lime juice, some honey, a little bit of olive oil, some cilantro and garlic. And the chicken that I'm putting in there is still a little bit frozen, so I'm going to let it thaw right in the marinade in the refrigerator. And then I have some black beans that I'm going to let thaw out on the counter. And I'm going to be making what we like to call a power bowl, which is kind of like a salad with some warm ingredients. And I'll show you that a little bit later in the video. So while those things are thawing out, I am going to be folding the laundry. Once the laundry was folded and put away, I started cooking the chicken for dinner, and I thawed out the black beans and added some corn to that. I seasoned it with some chili lime seasoning that I get from Trader Joe's. You can use any kind of, Mexican seasoning or Tex-Mex seasoning that you like. And then ahead of time, as I'm cooking the chicken, I let some kale and a grated carrot sort of marinate in a little bit of dressing. I use the Brianna's, I think it's balsamic dressing, just a little bit to kind of soften up the kale and give it some flavor. And then I assemble everything in a bowl, and that's why we call it a power bowl. I change this up a million different ways. Sometimes I use regular lettuce, sometimes I use spinach, sometimes I just switch up the beans and the corn, sometimes we use quinoa or brown rice. I don't always have chicken, but Peyton requested that, so I'm kind of catering to him today, as you can see. And I also added a little bit of dressing to the top. This is also from Brianna. It's their chipotle ranch dressing, and so that gives it a little more spice and flavor. And then after dinner, we took a walk. It was starting to get dark. It was kind of a gray and drizzly day all day, but we still wanted to get outside, get a little bit of fresh air, and get some exercise. And so fortunately where we live, we are in a rural enough area that it is fine for us to be outside. And when we got back, we played a game of Rummy Cube, which is one of our family's favorites. And so we are trying to make the most of this time. And because we aren't busy with engagements and, running out for different things, we have the time to spend doing something like this. And it has been really fun. And I'm hoping that when this is all over, we'll look back and, have had a good feeling about the time that we spent together. of course, I do know that there is uncertainty about the future and that this is very serious for a lot of people. I am not trying to make light of that at all. But my faith comes into play here. I realize that I can lean on the Lord and trust because God is good all of the time. And no matter what happens, He is still good. So I hope that today's video gave you some encouragement. And even though we have to practice social distancing, I hope that this will help bring us a little bit closer together. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel. And if you're new here, I want to invite you to subscribe. We have a lot of fun here at Faith and Flour. And as always, I look forward to talking with you guys in the comments. So hope to see you there. And of course, in the next video. Have a great week and God bless.